Hello, happy Friday, February 23rd. I'm Kate Hall at the Rails Burridge Service Center, and I call this meeting to order at 1 o'clock p.m. Emily, would you please call roll?
Sure. Christine Barr. Dave Berry.
Here.
Sue Busenbark.
Here.
Judy Crocker.
Here.
Gwen Gregory. Here. Kate Hall.
Here.
Laura Keys.
Here.
Paul Mills.
Here.
Scott Poynton. Dee Runnels. Nadia Shake.
Here.
Michelle Simmons. Joe Skabinski. Laura Turner.
Laura,
Are you muted?
Can you hear me now?
yes.
Hi.
Okay.
Okay.
Lori Wilcox.
All right. So, let's start here in Burridge with recognition of guests. Dee, would you lead us off?
Yes. Deirdre Brennan, Rails.
Damon Warfield, Rails.
Mark Hatch, Rails.
Brian Pebble, Rails.
Emily Feister. Rails.
Jane Plass, Rails.
Ann Slaughter, Rails.
Jim Krieger, Rails.
Louise Svela, Rails.
Right. And do we have any guests in East Peoria?
Yeah, is it on? Martha Troxel, Rails RSA.
Can you
Turn my up on that.
turn the volume on here?
Martha.
Laura, could you talk one more time so we can see if we hear you better?
Sure. Hi. This is Laura.
Okay, yeah, that's
Is it-
better. We
is
turned
that
our
better?
volume up. Yeah,
okay.
it was us, not you guys. Yeah. All right.
So that was
And
Martha.
it doesn't look like there is anyone in Bolingbrook or Coal Valley, the Illinois State Library.
Good afternoon, Deborah Aggert. This is Pat Bowes.
Hi, ladies. Anyone at Freeport? I don't see them.
No, they are not
They're
connected.
not. They're not. Okay. And anyone at Galesburg? Also looks dark.
No, it doesn't, but there's no one there, actually.
So I think we're good.
Yep.
And Judy, do you have anyone with you in Quincy?
No.
Okay. And it doesn't look like we have anyone in Vernon either. So, are there any public comments here in Burridge or at any of our other sites? Right. Hearing none, we'll move on to adoption of the agenda. May I have a motion and second for adoption of the agenda?
So moved.
Thanks, Paul.
I'll second.
All right, thanks, Nadia. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next up, we have our minutes from January 26, 2018 for our regular meeting. May I please have a motion for approval of the minutes of that meeting?
I so move.
Thanks, Laura. And a second?
Second.
Thanks, Dave. Any discussion on the minutes? All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next up, we have Jim here to give us our financial report.
Good afternoon. You have the financial report for the month of January in your packets and a few highlights. Our January 31st, 2018 unassigned general cash fund of 9.9 million would have funded 10.6 months of operations. One day later, we received the 3.3,962,120 of the fiscal year 2017 Aryan per capita grant that was due, and we've added about 4 months of coverage. So we're back over a year again. Another highlight, our investment income is through January is $79,489, $41,298 above budget. The rates continue to go up. We did a CD investment of a little over around $4 million through PMA this week at 1.62%. Just for a little comparison, our total investment income in fiscal year 14 was $5,239 when the Illinois funds rate was at 0.011%. And currently it is at 1.345%, which is like 100 times more than what it was. So we've had quite an increase. As late as fiscal year 16, our investment income was only a little over $39,000. This year we should be somewhere between 130 and probably closer to 150,000 the way the trend is going. So it's starting to become meaningful again. We also received our final E-rate reimbursement for the year, and that brought $12,756 of income for the year, which we don't budget because of the uncertainty. On the expenditure side, our general fund expenditures are $611,308 below budget. Personnel expenditures are about just under half of this, $297,000, 7.9%. We've had a few vacancies this year that we haven't filled. One we just filled this year, or this month in February, but it was an internal replacement, and we didn't replace the position that this person was in. So we'll still continue to get some savings with our personnel costs. And then there are a few open positions, 3 open positions, or one of which is not open because we're not replacing that. Otherwise, the contractual services are also $152,000 or so under budget. We'll start making up some spending in that. Some of these bills are just paid a month later, and also we will start having some expenditures on the War of Illinois project, which will go under that category. And capital funds expenditures are $416,000 under budget. $251,000 of that will stick because that was the portion of the Burr Ridge renovation, and most of the rest is for automobiles, which I think we have 6 or 7 now under order, or 7. Mark holds up his hands under order, so we'll start spending some money against that. Can I answer any questions?
I actually had not a question, but well, kind of a question and a clarification, maybe.
Oh, right. I'll move the mic there.
On the first page of your report, at the bottom, Jim, end of the second to last paragraph there, it says the February 1 receipt of APC funds increased Rail's cash and investment balances to approximately $17 million. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's including the what's in the
reserve
the
funds?
capital projects that the board set aside. Is that correct?
Yes, that would be right. Because the
Okay.
investments in all funds were $13 million.
Right.
And then so that increased it to about 17.
Right. So
Right, that's all our funds.
right. I just draw the board's attention to that because that's the actual number, and that you did set that money aside maybe, I don't know, 3 years ago
Yeah.
or something like that, which, by board decision, so it doesn't, we have no plans at this point really, but I don't know if at some point you want to revisit that or not. I just wanted to bring it up because we don't have anything in particular at.
We have 3.1 million that we've allocated to the capital projects
Right.
fund. And then any capital expenditures that we make are charged against that. So it does go down gradually,
Right.
but going forward, it should be very gradual.
Yes,
Just
extremely.
$200,000 or $300,000 a year.
Just for
So
vehicles,
that's an
which,
extra
yeah,
kind of reserve of funds
Right.
that we could bring back as operating.
Right, just wanted to get that, put that out there.
But we do,
So-
we do earn investment income on all
Oh,
of
sure,
that.
absolutely.
But we credit the general fund
Yeah,
for all the.
Right. It does, it's just
Investment.
it's just, it's.
Awareness.
It's, right, it's just, and it's, the money is the money, but it's, and you invest the money, but, just so everybody knows, it's 17 million, which is
Yeah.
a much more comfortable number.
Yes.
And that if you do decide that you don't want to have it in a separate account, that's fine too, but, okay, thank you.
Alrighty.
All right. So does anyone have any additional questions for Jim on the financial report? Then may I have a motion for approval of the financial report for January 2018?
So moved.
Thanks, Paul. And a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Nadia. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And next up, we have approval of expenditures. Back again with Jim.
The listing for January expenditures is at the end of the financial report, and the expenditures totaled $1,136,435.40 for the month of January.
Does anyone have any questions on this? Sorry,
That's right.
cut out Jim. All right, hearing no questions, may I have a motion for approval of the check voucher register for January 2018 in the amount of $1,136,435.40?
I so move.
All right, thanks, Laura. And a second?
Second.
Thanks, Gwen. Emily, will you please call roll?
Sure. Dave Barry.
Yes.
Sue Busenbark.
Yes.
Judy Crocker.
Yes.
Ben Gregory. Yes. Kate Hall.
Yes.
Laura Keys.
Yes.
Paul Mills.
Yes.
Nadia Shake. Yes. Laura Turner.
Yes.
Great. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much, Jim. All right, next up we have reports. I do not have a report, so we'll move right into committee reports. Paul, is there any report from the consortium committee?
It's not, ma'am.
Okay, and there is no report from the executive committee as we have not met. Laura, do you have any report from the policy committee?
No, the policy committee has not met, so no report.
All right, thank you very much. So then moving right along, Dee, would you like to give your report?
Yes, thank you. I did mention the standards in my written report. I just wanted to say, to reiterate, we do expect to have something to bring to the board, another report in March. It will be preliminary, but it will certainly, I think, provide some general direction. The test has been very helpful. We know that there will be some changes that we're going to be recommending, and we're continuing to gather information. So I'm feeling really good about the standards at this point. We are also working very closely with ILA as they revise serving our public to be sure that everything is aligned. So I think that's.
Do they have a date on when they're expected to go to publication?
I don't think so, and I don't think they're going to print anything.
It's going to just be an electronic?
I think so. Yeah. So, but that's all. Yeah, we.
I'm just curious
yeah.
in terms of timing, just where they're at in the
No, but
process.
they very much want to be aligned with us
Yeah.
too, so that's
Great.
good. And then I also mentioned the cataloging maintenance center in my report, and I just wanted to add a few more thoughts about that. It's very clear that Rails libraries do need some or need cataloging related assistance in a variety of ways, everything from more training, somebody to call up and ask a question, to specialized cataloging, less in my opinion is sort of duplication of sort of ongoing cataloging. I know that some of Carolyn Coulter and particularly would like to see less sort of duplication of cataloging among member libraries, and, the CMC might be able to be helpful. So, last year, Greg McCormick did, in a meeting with Leslie and me, and I think that was it, but there might have been other people there, did suggest the development of a new business plan for the Cataloging Maintenance Center. And we, since things have kind of evolved since it was first established, or since the merger of the systems, when the Cataloging Center in Heartland became the only cataloging center, as there used to be multiple. So we are happy to be assistive with that development of that business plan, because we feel that Rails members need to be able to call on it more than they can. So, but we await further word from the State Library and from Heartland. So.
And so, Dee, would you anticipate that this is something that would potentially be worked, if additional funding, support worked into a future plan of service?
Yeah, we don't want to do that, but
Yeah.
we need to get some clarification about what, how it can better serve Rails members. So.
And I don't know this. I know that public libraries use it. Is it used by libraries of all types? Or is it targeted more in specific? We just, completed a survey. I don't actually recall that specifically. I don't know if anybody else here does, but I think a lot of the problem is that there's a lack of awareness. Well, not a lot, but that's a major problem. And, a public awareness campaign would be important. But then again, if you do a big public awareness campaign and a lot more people start using it, you have to be sure that you are ready for that.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely.
So did you want to say anything about the types of libraries using it? Do you know,
It's open
Jane?
to all types of libraries,
Oh, and
but I
mine.
think the main issue is lack of awareness.
Right.
I mean, I will say I'm not 100% clear on what they offer. I know that we
Exactly.
used it at New Lenox, but a little fuzzy on the details.
Right.
So I would love to learn more.
Right.
All right.
So unless anybody has any questions, that's all I have to say at this point.
All right. If there are no questions, then we'll let Dee do the service and operations report.
Yes, so the Find More Illinois, we've got signed contracts with participating libraries, which is very exciting. And I think I've got the state right. Is it Wisconsin that you told me is interested? Apparently not.
Yeah, we had.
Yeah, okay.
Autographics did an introduction on their user group list, and we got some, nice contacts out of that. And in particular, Ben Miller, who's at the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction, which is the agency that works with their public libraries, contacted me and wanted to talk about what they're doing with their WisCat, which also uses the autographic software, and see where there might be some ways we can help each other out or cooperate in the future. So that's scheduled in March.
I don't recall there being any other. Are there any other similar projects that cross state boundaries at a larger level? I mean, obviously, I know we had the Quad Cities
Yes.
stuff, but
Yes, and that ability is inherent in the Share It software. They do have some arrangements, which is one of the attractions of this product. And Wisconsin is working with Minitex in Minnesota and one other that I don't recall off the top of my head. Also, Indiana is using the same software, so there might be some possibilities there in the future as well.
right. It's very exciting.
Yes.
All right. Any other?
Nope, that's it.
Does anyone
Any
have any questions for Dee on the service and operations report? No? Okay. Then we will move right along to the Illinois State Library. Hello.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
I bring you greetings from Secretary of State Jesse White and Deputy Director Greg McCormick. The Secretary of State's office continues to work with Comptroller's office on fiscal 17 payments currently backlogged. This impacts the public library per capita and construction payments. We are aware of who is owed funds and are trying to see this come to resolution in the next few weeks. We are finalizing the review of the public library per capita grants for 2018. The system area per capita grant application is being finalized and will be due June 1st. Efforts are being made not to add any burden on the systems, but to have systems clarify the services as they relate to the administrative rules. No new sections are being added. Just think about this in terms of what we've been requiring in the past few years. The legislative season is underway. The flags are flying across the street. We are following several bills. Senate Bill 2488 contains language regarding business owners and their lease of property in relationship to the unserved. This has gone to the Senate committee with a due pass consideration.
What does that mean?
That means it just moved on through that committee, Dee.
Okay, thank you.
Many hoops.
Oh, I'm sure. Yes, I was going to ask you about the deadline for for our APC. So thank you. It's very good to know that so far in advance.
It's good to know we're thinking alike.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
No, thanks so much for your report, Deb.
Thank you, Kate.
All right, so new business, we have the nominating committee. Dee, would you like to give us an update on that?
Yes, we do have a nominating committee. It consists of Kathy Parker, John Sayers, Pam Leffler from Morton Grove, and Brian Shepard from Indian Trails Public Library District. I didn't tell you who Kathy and John were because I think you know them, but Kathy's at Glenwood Linwood Library, and John was the director in Kewanee. He is currently a trustee there now.
Both former Rails board members.
And yeah, they were, yes, thank you, they were both former Rails board members. So the seats that we have that will be open, 2 at-large seats, meaning that there is no no particular requirement, and 2 trustees, 2 public library trustees. Specifically, Paul and Kate are in at-large seats. Kate cannot run again, sob, but Paul can. And Judy Crocker and Lori Wilcox, who also can run again. So we will be getting that underway in March, which, as Paul pointed out to me, is next week.
Oh gosh, yeah, that's very true, isn't it?
I don't think it will be next week, but it will be next month.
Well, luckily you have 31 days
Yes,
in which to have it
exactly.
be in March.
Yeah.
So.
Yes.
Right, does anyone have any questions for Dee about the nominating committee resolutions?
So I have a question. So if we want more information or to nominate someone or to tell people about it, who should they contact about it?
Me.
Okay.
There's also a number of things that go out on
Yeah, there'll
Rails.
be lots of information, but the easiest thing is to just
Media.
contact me.
Yeah. So you don't have to jump through a lot of hoops.
Right. None, hopefully.
Yes. All right, any other questions for Dee about the nominating committee? Okay. We have a couple unfinished business items. The first up is strategic planning brainstorming. There were some great notes in our packet,
Yep.
kind of detailing what feedback we've already gotten from members, but we were going to talk a little bit today about stuff
Yep.
with the board. So
That's right.
I'll turn it over to Dee.
Thank you. So, yes, and this was your suggestion, so thank you. I think, so what we've been, just to give you all more background or repeat the background you already have, we did our strategic plan. The current strategic plan was completed and approved by the board in 2014. We think it's been a great guide for us. As you know, we stick to it, report on it a lot, maybe more than we should, but we take it very seriously. And think we've accomplished many of the I don't know if you can accomplish a goal. We've made progress through a lot of our projects, but we also want to be sure, given that it's 4 years later, that we're still on track and that there aren't new things that have come up, which of course there are, because there are always new things coming up. So you saw the feedback that we received at the member update and at the consortia committee meeting. I did 2 sessions just this week, yesterday and the day before. Day before yesterday, I was in Glenwood-Linwood. Yesterday, I was at Indian Trails Public Library District. And just as a little update on that, big topic at Glenwood-Linwood was the unserved. And of course, they do have a particularly interesting situation in that south suburban area. They have a number of libraries that they have their libraries, but there are issues like Ford Heights was a contracting library with Glenwood-Linwood. They don't have a library, but they tax for a library, and they were actually had a contract with Kathy's Library, but then they stopped paying the contract. So now they don't have library service, and it's very confusing for all of us and very difficult for the neighboring libraries. And that's just one of the flavors. But there are also unserved people there. And I was saying to Mary Witt yesterday, because she was in Indian Trails with me, that the unserved issue strikes me as something that people don't talk about it very often. It's almost like librarians, library directors, trustees, whoever, it's almost like they've resigned themselves to it being an issue. But if you ask them what an issue is, or if you bring that up, it's amazing what comes out in terms of the cascading effect of the effects on patrons, the effects on kids in particular, school districts, the amount of time and money that is spent by libraries figuring out if they're in their service area or not. Or
Just had a conversation with staff this morning
Yeah,
about
but,
that.
yeah,
There
so-
was an area that was technically equidistant between us and Glenview,
Right,
and so then
there you
which
go.
one does it go to? And it was,
So exactly. So, what came up particularly yesterday at Indian Trails was security. Just, a lot of this, talk about training in active shooter situations and de-escalation techniques and a lot of very depressing things like that. Also, it just across all of the groups, I would say, concerned that people don't really understand what libraries do, which is not a new problem, but I think the more that we do things that we didn't used to do, that becomes a bigger issue. So anyway, so the question that we've been asking is, the way we've been framing it is, what keeps you up at night? So this is your opportunity to say, what keeps you up at night about libraries? Your library, libraries in general, Rails.
did you have?
I think in my district, it's that the attitude of some of the residents that don't want to pay anything for government services, including me. That is one of the, I think, as a trustee, that's the topic that kind of like it's there in the back of my mind all the time. I don't have an answer.
Well, that's why it keeps you up at night, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and, yeah.
And I have worked in a number of different libraries, and I'm very fortunate to be in a library now that has huge community support. And people say, "Oh, I would gladly pay, more for library service." And we are really lucky.
Well, not to say, I don't want to say that
No, no.
Bartlett is not, but there are certain individuals
Absolutely.
that really push this topic, and it's kind of like, I'm concerned, will it come spill over to the library? So far, so good.
Yep.
I have been in libraries, though, where it has spilled over, and it's very difficult.
Yep, and we know, I know from stories that people tell that that's definitely spilled over in some communities. But and that, I guess, is related to the, people don't understand what libraries do, I think, to some degree.
And may I go on?
Yes.
Yep.
I gave a member report, but I was at the ILA trustee.
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic. I think Jim kind of talked about trustees being the best advocates for their library. And basically ways to go about improving the libraries, how libraries are viewed in the community. We went through a number of different topics. So there is a way out to it. There are ways to address it. This just happened on Saturday. I'm still
Processing.
processing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we had the ILA legislative breakfast for the northern suburbs this past Monday, and kind of along that same vein, one of the things that kind of came out of it when I was talking with Brian Shepard from Indian Trails was that there's been a significant number of retirements in the local legislature. And as a result, there are all of these new people, and we need to work on building relationships with all of them. We don't necessarily know what all of their feelings are on libraries. And some of these other people, we've had, relationships for years and years. We know that. And so that also is something that I think it's not just getting out in the community at large, but I think also getting out to the people that are making the decisions and getting to know what they need and making sure they understand the value of libraries. But because there's such a large number right now, it just adds a whole other level of effort. And not that effort shouldn't happen, but it's like how do you divide your attention up so that you're focusing on the things that are going to be most important and most helpful to you in your library. So, does anyone have other comments on things that keep them up at night that they'd like to share?
Well, this is sort of related to that. It's just like inequities of service, whether it's in public libraries or in academic libraries, and how that, may be increasing of like people that are underserved. But then, like if you look at all the different public libraries, how some are really great and some are not so great, not to be their own fault, but just because they don't have any money. And it's the same thing in academic libraries too. Like some people have a lot of money and they can buy a lot of stuff, and some people don't. And some people have nothing. And that is not an issue that we can solve in an instant, but I think it is an important issue.
Yeah. And how do we level that playing field so that we reduce some of those inequities?
Right, so is that affecting, say, our students at UIC? Are they not able to get as many resources that they would want? Is that affecting the quality of the research produced at our university compared to one that has more money?
Well, and we had been talking previously about how, some of your students, you make an assumption like, oh, well, they could go to their public library, but maybe some of their students don't have a public library. Maybe they can't get some of those more popular things. And then how do you in academic libraries handle that? And should you be providing for that if their public libraries can't? And how do you even know?
Just so let's have the whole big ecosystem, because you think about our students, most of our students are commuters, and so they're spending lots of time every day, like going through, like going on the bus or driving from the L back and forth and going through all these different places. If they're even trying to access things, can they even access them? Do they have access to the internet in their travels? What are they doing during that time? Are they able to access, say, ebooks or electronic things that they want while because they're sitting there studying while they're traveling back and forth for hours every day.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yep.
I also think that you mentioned that security came up at Indian Trails. And I think alongside of that is just training in general.
Yes.
We have so many things that I want to be training staff on. And, there's this program in Northbrook called, my mind just blanked on it, and it's a Northbrook kind of training ground, so you can get to know the community. My mind is a blank. And we went to the police station, and they talk about how they spend like 20 to 30% of their time just training and retraining. And I thought, if we had staff doing that, I would need to double my staff because we wouldn't be able to do, or we would have to significantly cut back. And yet, training is so critical, not just on, collection development and programming, but on emergency preparedness. Right. And also, we're doing a lot more training on having staff do a better job of working with patrons with disabilities, because we want to make sure that they are feeling included at the library and that it's a place that they can come to and get the same level of service that everyone gets. And how do we fit that in amongst everything else? And because a lot of places in the community are willing to do the training for free, but the cost is really in the staff time and finding the room for it. But yet it's so important. So, other comments? We should go to the phone and see. Sue, do you have anything that you would like to share?
No, not at this time. I have found it very interesting reading what has been written here, and I think it brings to light a lot of concern. So, yeah, I'm good.
There's certainly not a lack of things to focus on.
Right.
No, there are.
So,
lots here.
Yeah. And so, Laura, from a special library perspective, is there anything that you would like to share?
Yes. Probably one of the biggest challenges for us is nobody really knows what a special library is. I mean, they've heard of an academic or they're familiar with a public library, but we definitely don't have the presence or awareness that academics and public libraries have. So that tends to be a big stumbling block for us. Other than that, I would say some of the same things that we've heard, like you were saying, Kate, we had a lot of corporate layoffs, so we have a whole new group of users. We lost a lot of our regulars, so now we have new users we need to reach out to, and we're not really sure of their library familiarity, so that's a challenge. For us, just as a corporate library, how do you provide services across such a huge, to a global community? So we have some challenges there. That's pretty much what I can think of off the top of my head.
Those are excellent points. And having never worked in a special library, it's always so interesting to me because I've learned so much from you and from other special librarians I know, because it is a different world, and it's even within the library world, having people understand what you do is something that I feel like needs more work, but is so important. So thank you. Those are excellent comments. Judy, I don't want to leave you out over in Quincy. Do you have anything that you would like to share?
No, I think we face the same kinds of issues that I've heard talked about, people's unawareness of what libraries do. Certainly, time and resources for the training that we need, et cetera. Problems which I think are probably pretty universal among libraries.
Yes, and so hopefully using all of these ideas for Rails, who can help bring us all together so that we can do more together than we can individually. So excellent. Are there any further comments or ideas that anyone would like to share?
Just reiterate what I read in the report that was in the packet about communicating the value of our libraries to all our stakeholders. That's always an ongoing challenge. I had a gratifying experience last year. Every year we have a town hall forum where we have our 2 state senators and our 2 state representatives address their constituents. We're one of their best attended, they told me, in terms of people participating.
Fantastic.
And state senator who organizes it started off her comment by saying, would you look at this library? Would you look at how many people are here? This place is as busy as a mall. And she meant that in a good sense, because malls are doing this a lot. Just to clarify. So that was gratifying, but how you...
Malls wish they could be libraries.
Yes, true. So that, but you know, that's, having that, telling our story so well is such a difficult thing that I think about a lot. I don't have a good answer for that.
Yeah.
That and finding all the specialized skills to do the unique things you want to do.
Yes.
On my way here, I was listening to the radio, and there was a commercial on the radio for the Skokie Public Library saying, are you looking for, we need technology trainers to do one-on-one training for our patrons. If you're interested in this, they talked about what they do, go. I wasn't writing it down because I was driving, but it was like volunteermatch.org or volunteer something like that, and sign up, and we want to find you in our community who want to contribute to your community by providing these skills that we need. And, I thought, wow, that's a little more of an answer. I thought, wow, how cool.
Yeah.
Yay for Skokie Public Library for doing that too.
And how cool would that be? Because Richard Kong does amazing things, as does his staff and at Skokie. But how cool would that be if there was a larger pool that people could be like, well, yeah, I'm near Skokie, but I wouldn't mind, driving down to Bolingbrook someday or out to Freeport or maybe
If you want to drive out
it's
to
a little
Freeport.
closer. But if we could match people up with their skills, we're so good at matching people up with the information they need, but more and more we've been looking at how can we match up people with other people, and sometimes those are things that we need in our library, but sometimes it's things also outside of that, and how cool that they're doing this.
Wow.
Yeah.
I kept straight on the road though when I heard it.
Good. I'm glad that you did not get into an accident. Library ad causes. Yeah. So thanks, Paul. Are there any other comments or ideas that people have?
This is great.
Yeah. I feel like ending with that Skokie ad. I'm dying to know.
Hope you're watching, Richard. It was a great ad.
Yeah. I know. I kind of can we email Richard right now? So wonderful. Well, I'm sure all look forward to seeing the fruits of all of Dee's and the staff's labors with gathering all of this information.
Yes, and if something comes to you, by all means, send me an email or whatever, call me up and.
But not in the middle of the night. Maybe then do the email.
Now, if you're really up sure, why not? If it's really keeping you up, but we're going to do more. I'm headed out to Freeport, actually, and Kiwani next week, and then we're going to do online go-to-meeting events just for special libraries, just for academic libraries, and just for school libraries, so we can try to reach them specifically. Yep. So, moving along.
Fantastic.
Yep.
We'll look forward to seeing the results. So next up, we have the LSAP FY19 contracts. So Anne, would you like to come up?
I sure will.
Accidentally muted us. Just for a second.
That's okay. So you have in your packet the final copies of the fiscal 19 LSAP contracts. I brought them to you last month for your review. As I noted in my memo,
nothing has really changed about them. So I'm here asking for your approval this month. They have been approved already by all three of the respective LSAT boards. They're all happy with them. And just as a reminder of what they're about, it's to spell out our in-kind services and financial support to what will be the 3 remaining LSAPs in fiscal 19, which will also be the year that we rework that process and move towards an annual grant process. So if any questions have come up for you in the last month, I'm happy to answer them.
Any questions for Anne? All right, well, hearing no questions, we're going to do each contract as a separate motion. So we'll start with Prairie Cat. If I could have a motion for approval of the intergovernmental agreement between Rails and Prairie Cat.
So moved.
Thanks.
Second.
Thanks, Dave. Emily, could you call roll?
Sure. Dave Barry.
Yes.
Sue Busenbark.
Yes.
Judy Crocker.
Yes.
Gwen Gregory.
Yes.
Kate Hall.
Yes.
Laura Keys.
Yes.
Paul Mills.
Yes.
Nadia Shake.
Yes.
Laura Turner.
Yes.
Great. Next up, we have RSA. So if I could have a motion and a second for approval of the intergovernmental agreement between Rails and RSA.
So moved.
Thanks, Dave.
I second.
Thanks, Laura. I should have done this last time. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, Emily, would you please call roll?
Dave Barry.
Yes.
Sue Busenbark.
Yes.
Judy Crocker.
Yes.
Gwen Gregory.
Yes.
Kate Hall.
Yes.
Laura Keys.
Yes.
Paul Mills.
Yes.
Nadia Shake.
Yes.
Laura Turner.
Yes.
Great. And finally, the SWAN one. So if I could have a motion for approval of the intergovernmental agreement between Rails and SWAN.
I so move.
Thanks, Laura. And a second?
Second.
Thanks, Paul. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, Emily, would you please call roll?
Dave Barry.
Yes.
Sue Busenbark.
Yes.
Judy Crocker.
Yes.
Gwen Gregory.
Yes.
Kate Hall.
Yes.
Laura Keys.
Yes.
Paul Mills.
Yes.
Nadia Shake.
Yes.
Laura Turner.
Yes.
Great. And I just want to thank Anne for all of her hard work putting all of these together and working with all of the LSAPs. I know a lot of time and effort goes into this, and it's very clearly reflected in the IGAs.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks, everyone.
Next up, we have our board development section, and Dee and Veranda will give a report on the meetings and issues from the ALA Midwinter Conference. Veranda, would you like to come up here?
I'd love to.
I thought you might. Because you've never sat at this table before.
I feel like pushing D out of the way, like my table.
Don't push D. We want D here, too.
If you push me, I might push Kate.
Or
Yeah.
you push me back.
All right, so we were just at Midwinter,
Yeah.
and we thought you might be interested in what we do there. And a lot of it revolves around ebooks, I would have to say. We've been working on a number of projects to move ebook pricing and licensing and access and et cetera forward for years, literally. So this, which is, to benefits all of you and all of us. So do you want to talk about
Sure,
those
I'm
things
happy
from
to.
here? Great.
So, as many of you have seen before, just as a reminder, Rails e-content strategy has a goal to move forward the areas of access, content, and experience to expand access to e-content for Illinois residents in those 3 areas. Dee and I co-founded an ASCLA, ASCLA being the Association for Specialized and Cooperative Library Agencies, where consortia tend to hang out within ALA. consortial ebook interest group so that we could better connect with other shared platforms across the country, which has been, and to kind of convene our voice nationally as we've done through resource sharing locally. Through this, through these meetings and the founding of this, we saw the need to not only share resources amongst other libraries, but start working with partners across what I love to call the reading ecosystem. So ebook platform vendors, publishers, standards organizations like NISO, Information Standards Organization, the Book Industry Study Group, so that we could work together to create kind of a direction of where we're going to expand access in a way that works for all involved. Currently, in my experience on the public library side, I'll speak to now, there's a lot between libraries and publishers and other pieces of this puzzle because we work through a platform vendor to gain access to content, to pretty much do everything. So we are working on a national ebook summit that includes an academic perspective as well. Our friends at Orbis Cascade are represented in this group, along with Penguin Random House, the Book Industry Study Group, the Digital Public Library of America, a bunch of other partners, to come together to convene their voice for a one-day summit to kind of create some shared goals in June at ALA conference for an invite-only meeting around these issues and how can we work together to move the experience forward, to move types of content. Yes.
Can I ask a clarification question?
Yes.
So is June at ALA the ebook summit?
Yeah. The June at ALA is
but
the
it's
ebook.
invite only to kind of harness ideas.
This first group, yeah.
But then eventually...
Eventually it will open up, yeah.
Okay.
This group, we have larger plans for this group outside of this summit, but the first thing is to find some common ground between these various entities. And we had a meeting in Denver of this advisory group representing these groups, and it was far more successful than I thought it would be. I thought nobody was going to come. I literally visualized like three of us and be like, hey, thanks for flying here. Please don't hate me. But like 20 people came from these various groups, and very interested in being at the table. There's lots going on with our own agendas, all of us. But our goal is to work with a very skilled facilitator to work in small groups around issues of access, advocacy, and analytics, very broad terms, to try to move forward around this. Does anyone have any questions?
So I want to say that one of the most interesting things to me at that, and there were many interesting things, was the issue that the way it was framed was, what's the highest circulating book in public libraries in America? And there is no answer for that because we don't have any data.
Yeah.
So I think that.
And so who asked that question?
Somebody who knew very well that there was no answer to that question.
Oh, okay. I was wondering if that came from. Okay.
Yeah, can I? Yeah. Which I didn't know this gossip. Which isn't gossip. This is the truth. The point being that we feel like we don't have access to analytics. Publishers don't have access to the analytics they want from ebook vendors, because that sits with ebook vendors.
Or even print vendors,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. Huh. So and I'm speaking in my world.
Yeah.
But I mean, that played out in that meeting.
Right.
But additionally, I met with another group of independent publishers who very clearly said the exact same thing to me. I did not ask about it. And they had the same question as well.
So that's great common ground.
I know, yes.
But I think it also speaks to the competition frame, that the publishers are also in competition with each other, so just as our vendors are, so
And
they
the
don't
vendors
necessarily
vying
want to
for-
share
want to share.
information.
Yeah.
Anyway, I
So
thought
that's
that
a really
was,
good.
so,
Do you want me to say something about United for Libraries or no? Do you know?
sure.
I guess you can't say no now. I also, Sarah, I just put D in a no-win situation. That's what we roll. I also serve on the United for Libraries Board, which is a national trustee organization within ALA. And that group is in the process of strategic planning. I'd be very happy. I'd love to hear from library directors too, but
And trustees.
more important. No, let me.
I'm sorry.
More importantly, I'd like to hear from those of you who are trustees on what an organization, a national group like this could do for you. Have you had experience with it? I'd love your candid feedback on needs or maybe faux pas to support you better, because it's there's a new director there and we're looking at pivoting to the next chapter. So I would love to have feedback from your colleagues, the fellow leadership on your boards as well.
While I am not a trustee, I am a director that has trustees that I talk with on a regular basis. Would it be valuable at all for us to gather that information from our trustees
Yes, I
and
would
share
appreciate
it?
that. And you can give them my contact information if they prefer to.
Or would you want to come?
I could go either way, whatever you want. Give me
All
a
right.
couple hours to talk. I got it. Sure.
Will this be a question that will be put on the real site, directly asking?
The trustees.
Yeah, because
That's
if
a
we could
great
send them
idea.
a
We can
survey.
do that, yes,
Yeah, that's
be
a great
happy.
idea.
That would be
happy to do
Yep.
that.
Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity because they haven't done planning for a long time. The other thing that I would just say, that I'll try to say just a little bit about it is, one of the things that we work on with this group related to ebooks is a lot of us are involved in this Simply E grant, which was this platform started by New York Public Library with their own money and their own staff to create this thing that they call Simply E, which is to bring together all of their e-resources.
With IMLS funds, too.
Yeah, they got a grant from IMLS to create this platform so that their patrons can see all of the e-resources at once.
Across vendors.
Right. So Overdrive, Access 360, 3M, whatever, all the various platforms they subscribe to. So not having to go from one and then out and then back into another, et cetera, et cetera. So the next phase of that grant is Simply E for Consortia, which is an attempt, because that was just a library, even though it's a big library, but this is Consortia, which consists of many libraries, an attempt to create that experience for patrons of libraries that are members of Consortia. And this is actually being rolled out in some
I can tell you.
states, in Maryland.
Maryland, St.
California.
Mary's. California has 6 libraries that have gone up.
Yep.
Actually, I'm working on getting we may have brief access to that, one of those California
and we'll be rolling it
collections.
out here, too,
Yes,
when it's
yes,
time.
yes. We want to. There have been a few hitches in the giddy up with the rollout in California. So, and our friends in Massachusetts, who also have a strong consortial instance as well, we're both watching the California, specifically the California rollout very closely, because it's in different libraries. It's not in a consortial setting, though. So we're watching, because a new version of Simply E actually just came out a few days ago, and there are a couple of bugs in it. So we're going to play with that a little bit. And there are University of Minnesota, Minitex, our friends at Minitex are testing this in an academic setting as well.
It could be life-changing.
Yeah.
Seriously, for access to ebooks.
And some of the vendors have been very cooperative with providing APIs and OPDS feeds to gain access to those Some of them have
What
been
is
great.
OPTS?
Some of them have been
I
less.
It's a
know
way
what
in which
OPTS
to feed the books through the app, so that to authenticate, so they serve up from the platform through this single sign-on access.
Shonda, I'm sorry if I missed it. What's the time frame for the rollout in California? I mean, is that really soon that we can look at?
Oh, you mean the California libraries that are doing Simply E?
Yes, that.
They are rolling out like right now.
Oh, okay.
But we don't have. I mean, I'm trying to work on getting a test barcode for them.
Oh, okay.
So I may be like, if you come over to my office or something. But I'm working on that right now.
Okay, cool.
There is an instance of Simply E in both iTunes and Android, Google Play Store. You can see NYPL has set that up so you can see the user experience, and it serves up public domain content.
Okay.
So you can see that now if you want to download that to see it.
Cool.
Okay.
So it's coming. It's taken a while. It's
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
complicated.
It's a
There's a
lot
lot
of-
of economic issues
So-
related to it. Yes?
Is it just a public
I think so.
library app? I just
No.
wondered if it was just a public library application.
No. Are you thinking about it for your setting? Or
Well, we've been working with a vendor to find an application to bring all of our ebooks together
okay.
with EBSCO.
We should
Yeah, we will.
we should talk about that.
Yeah, we will talk to you, Laura, because it is not just
Just
for
because we're
public
having the
libraries.
same issue, we have lots of ebooks and we need one platform to access them all from.
I might have what you need.
Right.
But I would like to talk
Oh.
about this issue specifically.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's exciting.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about Micah or no?
No, I was just going to actually shift gears just a bit and say that I, in addition to the ebook stuff, I went to a meeting about school library advocacy. And it was very timely because this has come up at the member update. It came up at the member update in East Peoria about how, school libraries are not being funded, librarians are being laid off, and that affects obviously the school librarians, but it affects all of us because those kids are not trained in how to use a library. They don't go to college knowing how. They don't come to the public library. They didn't go to their workplace, know how to use the library, etc.
Right.
So it was very helpful, very ironic in that I sat with two people from Islama / Isle, who I had not had the opportunity to see here in Illinois. So we did have some good conversations about how we might work together. So that was very helpful.
That's great.
Yep.
Super important.
That is.
I think that's all we have.
Nothing about the youth awards?
No.
Just kidding.
I heard about them. I heard it was exciting.
Yeah,
I
we
mean, I
heard
was not there. I only heard
Yes,
about it, but yeah.
I heard about them, but I don't have any more youth media awards. Yeah. Sorry, I missed that.
Does anyone have any additional questions for dear Veranda? No? Well, thank you very much. It sounds like it was a very information-filled conference.
Yep.
So, excellent. Moving on to Rails board member reports. This is the time when we, as board members, can share updates about our libraries or things that would be of interest. Dave, did you have?
Actually, Madam Chair, I want to inform you that I won't be at the March meeting, since I will be at the PLA conference in Philadelphia.
Oh, the meeting is the week after. It's on the 30th.
Okay.
But perhaps you are staying in Philly a little bit longer.
Not that far.
Okay. So
That would be a W.C. Fields joke, right?
And I will be at PLA as
No,
well.
May West, maybe?
So we could maybe do a little Rails board meetup. Is anyone else going to PLA?
Jane's going.
Jane is
I think
going?
Veranda's, are you going?
No,
You're not going?
Paul, Gwen?
I'm going.
Anne's going. Louise is going.
Okay. So
Lots
we
of,
can try-
I'm sure.
Yes,
lots
I'm sure that there are lots and lots of people. So you're not quite off the hook, Dave. I'm sorry, but maybe April. So I do have something that I'd like to share with everyone. It is not about my library, although my library's makerspace, the collaboratory, is almost done.
That's a good name.
I know, isn't that great? My
Yeah.
staff are brilliant. So yeah, and we also got a lot of community feedback. But I actually am excited to announce that Kathy Parker, who, as Dee mentioned earlier, is on the nominating committee and used to be on the Rails board and is the director at the Glenwood Public Library. She and I have been working on a book for the last couple of years, and the American Library Association is going to be publishing it. It is about how to be a library director. So next spring, it will be out and will hopefully be helpful to people. Our goal was, in writing it, was to write the book that we both wish that we had when we first started out as library directors. So we're very excited about that.
Congrats.
Excellent.
Thanks.
Congrats.
Wonderful.
Congratulations.
Really wonderful.
So thank you. Are there any other updates that anyone would like to share? No?
I will just say, not completely library related, although I know a lot of librarians are involved. Happy Rotary Day for everyone who's in Rotary.
Oh.
It's Rotary Day?
Today's Rotary Day, 113 years of Rotary International.
I should know that. Yes.
Our club is celebrating, the Rotary Club of Bolingbrook is celebrating by going to Feed My Starving Children tonight. We're going to spend Friday night there, and we've got 41 people coming, so we're really, really happy about that.
That's awesome. So thanks, Paul. Any other updates? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to agenda building for the next Rails board meeting. So I know, as I already mentioned, the meeting will be on Friday, March 30th. This is Good Friday, and it is 1 week later due to PLA. Dee already mentioned one item, which is the standards report, which sounds like we'll be talking about in March. But is there are there any other agenda items?
Will we be meeting here in March?
No, we are at.
We're here in March.
No, we're here in March.
We're here in March.
In April, we're in East Peoria.
In April, we're in East Peoria. Sorry, I'm getting my dates off.
We thought about changing it, but we did not.
Okay, thank you, Emily. Thank goodness we have Emily's brain here with us. So we will be here, and of course, on conference call and on the video conferencing site, as always. Are there any other agenda items that anyone?
I can't think of any right now.
I do have one.
Sure,
Something
great.
That came up earlier in the meeting in talking about the Special Reserve Fund and the Capital Project Fund. I recall some time ago we did have that plan that had been discussed.
Yep.
And I think it'd be worth reviewing, whether that would be a full board or start with the executive committee. I think just even pulling it out and looking where it is would be a good exercise.
Do we want to do that maybe as part of the plan of service planning for the grant?
Well, we can have a conversation about
Okay.
it. So, and Jim and I will figure it out. Yeah, I think it's a good time to do it.
Yeah, great.
Great.
Any other agenda items? All right, hearing none, then I'm going to declare this meeting adjourned at 2:07 p.m. Thank you, everyone, for attending, and I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend.
Thank you.
You as well.
Bye.